beautiful friend, Jess Maurer. We were just discussing whether it's a Jessica, and it depends on the scenario. Her husband's name is Wes, so it's Wes and Jess, which I thought that's freaking amazing. Let's launch right into it. I'm going to share all the wonderful, beautiful things about Jess, and you're going to learn more as we carry on throughout our conversation. This woman I've known for years and years. She's known of me for less amount of years. And I'll explain why that is. So I've had the honor of learning from Jess for probably, I don't know, about 7 years through the Fit for Mom community that we used to be a part of. And honestly, I am forever in awe of her brilliance. She is not only recognized in fitness business as a consultant and strategist and keynote speaker, list goes on, but she's also, I believe, one of the most gifted educators I've met. And I think when you're in the fitness industry a lot, you take a lot of classes, you take a lot of courses, and I've never met anyone as gifted as her. Her courses, she just has this incredible talent for cueing that has helped me personally teach and support hundreds of moms across my time as a Fit for Mom franchise owner. And I think what makes Jess so special is she goes beyond fitness. She cares deeply about the whole person, right? We're going to be talking a lot on these podcast episodes about the whole mother, the body, the mind. And she has this really great, unique ability to integrate mental health, resilience, clarity into how she teaches on stage, teaches on movement, whether it's, courses in education or fitness. And she's known internationally for this and her work with helping professionals move from burnout to sustainable success. Who would love sustainable success and quit burning out? I would. And so I'm going to learn some tips and tricks on that. And she brings a mix of what I love and is also a lot in our book of these science-based insights, right? Fresh ideas and these truly actionable strategies that leave people transformed, right? We focus a lot on We Got You Mama with going from surviving to thriving. And she has a lot of great tips for that. So she has this awesome passion for wellness and leadership. And what I love probably most is the mental well-being work that she is doing. And I can't wait for you to experience her wisdom, experience her care and inspiration that she brings. And so we'll launch right into it. Did I miss anything? Because I could probably just keep going.
No, but you're hired. You can be my hype girl for all things in the future. I just wanted to say thank you for all the kindness that you just, shared with everyone about what I really am passionate about doing. So thank you, Carly. And I'm so excited to be here to talk to the other mamas out there in the space about how we can start going from feeling overwhelmed to feeling a little bit more organized, a little bit more joyful, kind of embracing that happiness factor again.
Yeah, I feel like, so when talking about thriving versus surviving, I feel like that is what my response is often, or has been, to other people, like, oh, just in survival mode over here, not almost as a badge of honor, like, I'm doing the thing, doing all the things. How can we start to recognize the difference between just getting by and truly thriving? You're good at steps. what are the steps that can help us shift into this, less surviving, more thriving space?
That's such an amazing question, because it's one that I feel like all moms of all ages and stages really need to hear the answer to. And the answer is that you need to give yourself permission to not be all the things at all the times. Like, we have this innate ability as mothers and as women to try to carry everything. And when we try to carry everything, there is inevitably a part that is going to fall a little bit to the wayside. And sometimes you just need to give yourself permission that it's a different age and stage of your life, of your motherhood, and that sometimes this is going to be a heavy lift and sometimes this is going to be a lighter lift. And dealing with that everyday mindful moment of accepting that it's always going to be changing is one of the first things that you have to do. So first step, mindset. Got to get your mind set to, you cannot be all the things to all people. Like, I love every woman out there, but none of you are super target. You're never going to make everyone happy. And
Yeah.
so you have to really figure out like what brings you joy and peace in your own mindset. And then the next thing I tell people is, okay, now that you're in the better mindset, now we can start looking at your habits. And oftentimes people equate habits to being like, well, I go to yoga on Mondays and I eat well. And yep,
Yeah.
those are great habits. But essentially, what a habit is a system. If this, then that. So if this happens, I do this. And when we start to incorporate more habits around keeping ourselves in a happier state, in a more joyful state, then we start to increase our happiness levels. When you start to do something that you don't like to do, whether it's laundry or grocery shopping, then let's incorporate things that we know we do like. Maybe you grocery shop while talking on the phone to your best friend, or maybe you have a special show that you watch while you're doing laundry. But we need to increase that joy and happiness factor. So if
Yeah.
step one is getting your mind right, step two is reconnecting with what brings you joy and what brings you happiness. And that doesn't always include watching Bluey for the 10 millionth time,
What?
right?
Why not?
Well, but it might. It might not be eating
Right.
your kids' leftover mac and cheese and chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
It might not be those things that have become your default, but you got to reconnect back to you as a human. What brings you happiness? What brings you joy?
Yeah. My friend's like, I love these smutty novels that you have to listen to. She's like, I hate laundry so much. I hate it so much. But now, like, I don't mind it so much because that's when I listen to my smutty novels.
A
And I
thousand
listened to one and I was like, whoa, okay, you're having some like steamy laundry sessions.
Right? But now it's something that she doesn't dread as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we look at this for tasks at work too. If there's a specific task you hate doing, like running payroll or preparing your taxes, there's something that's coming up in your life and you're like, I really don't want to do it. Then you have to pair something you do want to do with it. So maybe it's a playlist you like. Personally, my go-to TV show is Buffy. Put on Buffy when I've got to do laundry or I've got to run payroll, because it's something that I can still connect back to me with, and that brings me a level of joy.
I love that. And I love the idea also of like when you're grocery shopping or doing something that isn't all, super exciting, of
Mhm.
allowing yourself to connect with others during that time. You're also like, oh, I haven't, caught up with my friend. I feel like a bad friend. I feel guilty for this. Like we need to stop also just feeling, you guilty for all the things. But I find that's a really great time to talk to my mom because she's a chatterbox and she'll like take
Mhm.
20 minutes for like a 5 minute story. I love you, mom. And that's a great time to just let her, chat, and then we can, and it's fine because I know that I'm going to be at that store for 45 minutes and you can have that time, which I think is an awesome thing to do.
And ties
Um,
into that social connection part that a lot of women are missing. And the
yeah.
loneliness epidemic is something that's been taking over our country these last few years. And it is more true for women, I find, is like this isolating feeling of that you're all alone and you're still carrying all these things. And if you take these moments of social connection with your mom, with your best friend, with your neighbors, with the people in the grocery store, like having these moments of social connectivity will start to bring you back into that feeling of connectivitedness, right? Of like I'm isn't
Connectivitedness.
that a great word? But like I'm part of something. I'm part of something bigger, and that community feeling, that social connection feeling, is another thing that we can look at science and know that is a direct implication to if you're happy or if you're sad.
Yeah. I love that community and connection. They're of the
Mhm.
same, right? You need to have some sort of connection to some sort of community. And I think I know in my younger adult parenting years, I'm only 25, so that meant like 20 years old. I um I thought that like you needed to have this huge group of
Mhm.
friends, and like I jumped around in colleges, and so I didn't have this like college base of friends that like this person had, and I felt like everyone had a person. And was recently listening to Mel Robbins' book Let Them, and she found one of her greatest friends like in her 50s after
Mhm.
she had moved to a different community, and it took her daughter being like, come meet this neighbor, I'm going to introduce you, you know what I mean, even though she seemed like such a people person that she would go out and do that, but sometimes it's a little scary. You're in a new place, you
Right.
don't know everyone, and you just kind of like hunker down, and then you realize how it's affecting your mental health. But I've come to learn later on in life in my mid 40s that like, man, you just need a couple people, right?
Yeah.
You just need a couple
Starts with
people
one.
that you can lean on and like and call, and they know that a lot of time can go by and it won't matter. You can sit down and still have an amazing conversation and connect, right?
And there are no rules. There are no rules as to when that person comes into your life or when that person leaves your life and you find another, right? There are no standards. And I think sometimes we have it in our mind that it has to be a cast of characters, that in order to have support, we need a full blown village, right? We need
Right.
all of these different characters as if we were on a TV show.
Right.
And because of that, it's an all or nothing mentality. Well, I don't have 17 friends I can turn on. Let's start with one. You need one confidant, one friend
Yeah.
that you can turn to. It will start to grow from there, but you got to start with that one tried and true that you can turn to when you need to. And if you're new to an area, if you're the only new mom in your friend group, if you're the only mom of a teenager in your friend group, it can feel isolating because you feel like no one understands what I'm going through. And
Yeah.
that's when I tell people to turn back to your hobbies, because what you're into from a hobby perspective is where you're going to meet your next good friend. So if your hobby is reading smutty books, I bet there's a great library club you can join, right?
Right.
If you like movies, there's a meetup for you. If you like knitting, there's a knitting circle for
Mhm.
you. And if you're like, well, great, I don't have a hobby because I've been a mom for 9 years and I don't remember what anything is surpassed being a mom, then what are you doing on a weekly basis that can become a place where you connect with one person?
Yeah.
Whether it's the grocery store and you just, or you've got a cafe where you know you like to go get your coffee, be friends with those grocery store people, become friends with the barista that's serving you coffee every week. And by friends, I don't mean you got to share deepest, darkest secrets, but how are you? What's
Talk
your
to someone
name?
in line, right? I feel like we're so like this a lot of the
Yeah.
times that we're not looking up, we're not talking to people in an elevator. I don't know why elevator experiences have to be awkward, but sometimes
No,
they're just awkward. You're
right?
standing there, you're both going up 10 floors, like, where'd you get your shoes? I love your shoes. You know, I had an awesome like 1.5-minute conversation with a lady in an elevator, you know what I mean? And I learned that she also had a teenager and that she was going to a different chiropractor and like, oh, back problems. What is all this, right? And it was like, man, it made my day so much
Sud-
brighter.
Suddenly you're not alone.
Yeah.
It just takes that one thing, right? For you to suddenly be like, oh, I'm not alone, that there are other people going through what I'm going through. And those things can develop into becoming that friend, that social connection that you need, because
Yeah.
we all need it. It can't
Yeah.
just be your kid might be your closest confidant, but it can't not be your best friend.
Right.
You
Right.
need someone that's on the same time frame as you.
100%. Yeah, that makes a huge difference because they get it,
Hmm.
right? They get it.
Hmm.
Finding those spaces online, I think, are super important, but getting out in the world, especially in this day and age of all this tech and all this AI, like connecting with real people, I think is also crucial, right? For our social skills and for growing and learning and connecting with other people. Um, I've had a hard time balancing social, home life, work, all the freaking driving that comes along with like the children and all their extracurricular activities. Um, and I think sometimes we look online and we're like, oh, she just looks like she's so balanced and she's got it figured out. Like, first off, no one has it all figured out. That's not real life. But we're told, you know, you just got to find the right balance. And I don't think that exists. It feels a little impossible, right? And also, if you're always like balanced and you're here, like nothing's ever growing or changing, and you know, you don't have highs because you don't have any lows to experience what those, you know, highs are. Um, what what works when searching for these, like, what works? What strategy you recommend that we as women can integrate into our career or into our family, into managing our households, and personal wellness that like actually work out.
Get rid of the word balance. Just
Yeah.
delete it from your vocabulary, because
Yeah.
there is no such thing as balance. It's a mythical creature like a dragon, and you're never going to experience it, right?
Yeah.
Instead, I want you to start thinking about your professional life and your personal life more as the ocean. And so it's going to ebb and flow. The tide is going to come in and come out. And then if it moves too much in one direction, you have a flood. And if it moves too much in the other direction, well, you therefore have a drought. And both are environmentally unsafe places
Right.
to be. So what we
Yeah.
want to do instead is recognize that sometimes our ocean wave is going to be a little bit more towards the personal, and sometimes it's going to be a little bit more towards professional. And looking at it, that again, going back to the mentality standpoint of getting your mindset of like every day is going to be different, and that's okay. That is normal. What is
Yeah.
not normal is the exact same level of stress and maintenance every single day. We need to just be able to ebb and flow, be a little bit more malleable, be a little bit more flexible, and be okay with the fact that you're not going to have this perfect 50-50, because it doesn't exist. If it was just 50-50, where do you as a human fit into that mathematical equation?
Yeah.
Timing wise, it doesn't make sense. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. So there's so many more components to just A or B. There's
Right.
so much that makes us the humans that we are. And so we just got to look at it more of it's coming in, it's going out, and it's going to change based on your age and stage of motherhood, the age and stage of your child, where you are in your career. If we just look at it with a little bit more prescriptive, little less prescriptive and
Yeah.
a little bit more flexibility, then you'll find that the happiness comes in a lot quicker because we don't have these expectations.
Yeah.
Ultimately, conflict arrives when expectations and reality don't align. And so if you keep having expectations of living this textbook life and it never comes to fruition, you are always living in a place of feeling underwhelmed or overwhelmed by what's
Right.
happening, instead of living in a place where you can actually joyfully thrive.
Yeah. And that affects everything. It affects our family, our household, affects our health, right? I feel like we've never been sicker as a nation, like, globally, you know what I mean? Because of all this. I mean, I feel like that's my nurse practitioner I see. I feel like that's her general go-to. She's like, it's stress. I'm like, well, there's a lot of other things, but okay, yeah. A lot of it is probably stress. And I think it can come from perfectionism. I know I struggled with that ever since I was little. And for me, and how it led to sickness is I, you can't do it all, and you can't do it all at a perfect level. And yet, me trying ended up, I was super depressed, anxious, sick, had to drop out of school, was suicidal. Like, I mean, I just did this and didn't have, sort of the proper support. No one like knew
Mhm,
what to do with me.
mhm,
And coming into motherhood, I feel like, especially when like I think social media started existing, like my oldest is almost 15, right? And I remember my newborn and someone being like, "Have you got Instagram yet?" And I'm like, "What's Instagram?" Right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
and it was unhealthier back then. I think when everyone wanted to kind of post this ideal of, look at this perfect world I live in, I'm going to hire all the
mhm,
help and I'm going to like look like I did it all. Um I think it was a blast to our mental health. But I still think, as much as you see more reality, more real life things happening online and behind social media, um we're having a hard time letting go of this perfectionism, right? Like
Absolutely, we
this
are. And
pressure is just like, but look at her. Like, let's stop comparing,
oh, you couldn't have said it any better. And thank you for sharing your personal story with me and with all the mamas out there as well. I think all of us can definitely relate to feeling that way. There is this mentality that we are against each other, and it's perpetuated now more than ever before. Instead of looking at each other as collaborative puzzle pieces that create the puzzle piece of humanity, we instead look at each other like competitions, as if we are going to win some prize for getting some location first. And when we start to look at each other as if we're competing for something, then we always are in that mindset that someone is more than or we are less than.
Yeah.
And we start to circle that drain of working in a world of guilt and shame only, instead of searching for the place where we can be our uniqueness, our weirdness, and find our real true self and true joy. We instead just kind of constantly berate ourselves for not being in first place.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got to stop there, ask yourself, like, what's the prize that I'm trying to win?
Right.
If I'm in this competition with the other person, why?
What are you gonna
What
get?
am
What are
I
you gonna get out of it?
what's right? What's the
Yeah.
prize of this? If I'm in such competition with all these other people, what's the prize? And I think if we look at science and we start to really focus on what does science actually say brings us closer to a peaceful state of mind, a more pleasurable existence, a healthier and happier life, we can start looking at its movement, and it's the movement you want to do. It's not the movement somebody, told you had to do. It's nutrition. It's actually caring for what you put into your body. It's very whole food based nutrition has been shown to increase your serotonin levels. It's mindfulness practices, being here in the present moment, and it's social connection of making sure that you feel like you're a part of a community somewhere, somehow. And all of four of those things, at no point was social media ever mentioned, was online competition ever mentioned, was the idea of being first ever mentioned in any of those four pillars.
Yeah.
It's instead about, hey, what do you like to do within these four buckets? And now let's elevate those things so that those are what you're focused on. Because the more that you're experiencing things that bring you joy, the happier your life is.
Yeah. And then you get in the habit of doing it, and then your
Mhm.
body's going to recognize, I like this. This is great. And then you're going to keep doing it. It's just sometimes, I think, often hard to start or restart. Right.
Oh,
Even after being
100%.
sick for like a week, I'm like, ugh, like why? Why did I have to like restart? Like I just was getting back into the swing of things, right? And it's like, go find a friend, go take a class, like
And
have someone
also,
hold you accountable to like do
yeah.
the thing, you know?
And if your last workout was, January 1st of this year, and it's now going into September, and you're wanting to start working out again, guess what? You should not do the same workout you did on January 1st. And that is sometimes where we get stuck, because we think, oh, I took a week off, I took 6 months off, I'm going to go back into the exact same thing I left off at. And then you wonder why you just feel like absolute crap afterwards,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying like, oh, I'm going to get back started in a way that feels really authentic and good for me, and I'm going to work back up to what I left off, even if it was just a week ago. So like you said, grab a friend, go for a walk, go on your favorite hike. If you love to go lift, but just start off at a lesser weight, a lesser rep, a less intensity,
Yeah.
and you'll find that your body adapts to it in a much better way. And again, who are you trying to beat
Right.
and why?
If you're training for a marathon, that's something different. But like, and
Absolutely.
really, you're just your own competition, right? When it comes
Mhm,
down to it. Um,
mhm,
what I think is cool in the work that you're doing and the things that you're, publishing and putting out there is this redefining success. You
mhm,
also launch into, tell me about the four pillars that we've chatted about before, because I think that's an awesome thing. I also want to include it in the show notes of
mhm.
things that people can remember to do and go back to, because I feel like I can remember four things. I'm going to give myself grace. I'm going to remember these four things. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, good. Okay, so the four pillars that we have really looked at in terms of across the board, everyone can get a little bit of serotonin boost from this. Everybody can get a little bit happier when they find what works for them. I think that's the key thing, right? Is we know that movement in as short as 10 minutes at a time. 10-minute increments of some type of movement can increase your happiness factor. And so whether it's yoga in the morning, whether it's going for a walk at lunch, whether it's lifting in the afternoon, whatever your jam is, you got to find your jam. Because
Yeah.
the idea of like being told prescriptively, like, oh, you have to run in order to be athletic, or you've got to go do CrossFit if you want to be in shape. These
Right.
ideas of like really prescriptive, this is what you have to do, has actually been shown to decrease people's happiness.
Right. I
So
can attest to that because I
yeah.
feel like being in the fitness world, we tried everything. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
I've tried every single class out there, and it's like, why don't you just stick to the couple that, like, you actually really like?
Yeah, and go try all of them, right? You
Yeah,
have
100%.
go try, but nothing means that you have to do something. There is no have to, there is a get to. And
Yeah.
so if you're
Do the
going to
trial class, don't
yeah,
buy the 10 class pack right
yeah.
off the bat.
If you don't like, it's no big deal. Or
Yeah,
if right now you're saying, well, I've tried all the exercise styles and I just can't find anything I like. I promise you, if you've not tried them all, there's
no,
crazy
totally.
cool things coming out, right? Like goat yoga and Pilates with puppies, and there's dance glow parties, and there's,
Have you
you
tried the
know,
bungee workout classes yet?
yes,
Oh, look, like so much fun.
it's you feel like you're flying.
Yeah, I know, I wanna fly.
You're like Peter Pan. It's great. So there's all different types of modalities for you to go try. What you probably did was tried that what you have to do mentality,
Yeah,
and that's the reason it didn't connect with you. The next pillar is all about nutrition and feeding yourself in a really healthy manner. And when it comes to nutrition, it's again paying attention to your taste buds. Look, if you don't like kale salads, you are going to never eat a kale salad a day. It's
it will
just,
go rotten in the fridge.
it will.
Also, keep your veggies in the door. I'm, like, super ADHD, and so I have to have things visually, like, in front of me, so, like, the big fruit basket and the counter, and then, like, I don't put them in the drawers. They may stay crisper in the drawers, but that doesn't matter if they're gonna go bad, so, like, I keep them.
Mhm.
I can keep my milk in the drawers, like, I know that's weird, but then, like, put the stuff on the door so that I can, like, see it. But yes, make
Yeah.
it the things that you want to consume, not choke down, like, life's too short.
I'm in. And again, it goes back to that mentality of like someone told you at some point the only way to lose weight or the only way to get healthier or the only way to take care of your body is to eat A, B, and C. And what it comes down to is, you know what? All plants and all whole foods have great benefits.
Yeah,
You got to find the ones that you want to eat. Now, you're never probably going to be able to say, oh, I want to eat kale over a cupcake. We know that. However, you've got to find the healthy alternative to what you like, what based on your taste buds.
yeah.
So if you don't like kale, then try romaine. I mean, try spinach, try arugula. There's so many other ways for you to get leafy greens in
Mhm.
instead of this idea of like it has to be
Right.
this one. Has to be this
Or,
one.
like, my husband's like, "I hate salads," and I was like, "Well, then drink this smoothie. It has the same stuff in it." You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. You
and then
find
that's great. That's a way to get your veggies in. That's how I for half of my kids' veggies is, like, I throw it in a smoothie, and they love it. So, like,
there you go.
I tend to drink my vegetables, which I think that's how I like it.
And if
So
that's
it
how you
works.
like it and that's what works for you, don't be ashamed of it. Don't shy away from it. Go
Do it.
for it.
Yeah.
And the other pillar is mindfulness, some type of mindfulness program. But a lot of us as moms are type A personalities. And so if you tell us, hey, I want you to go like sit in a dark room for 5 minutes and just focus on not thinking, we would have like bought Christmas presents by the time we came out of that 5 minutes, right? Like we would have made all of the lists in the world and had decided
100%.
how we were going to usher in world peace.
Yeah.
So you got to find the mindfulness practice that works for you. And so if
Yeah.
everyone's like, you got to meditate, and you're like, not there yet, cool. Let's find the one that works for you. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's breath work, maybe it's doing body scans, maybe it's doing guided meditations. But find the one that works for you and just throw away this idea that there is a right way
Yeah.
for you to be mindful.
Yeah.
There's not.
Something is better than nothing. I got this cool
Mhm.
device called a brain tap. Have you heard of it?
No, tell me.
Look it up. I'm gonna have to share it all with you because you'll probably understand a lot more of the research behind it, than I would. But I think it's amazing, and maybe I'll throw some links in there about this brain tap situation. But it works with light therapy as well
Mm,
as meditation. And there's different programs like children use it. I have a child who can't settle down at night.
mm,
Like she's 9 almost, and she hasn't been able
mm,
to. She was 2 years old the
mm.
first time she tried it. Oh my gosh, Jess. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
my mind. She
awesome.
fell asleep like that. I was like, what is this magic?
Yeah.
So in anxious moments, like
I love
it's
it.
it's retraining your brain, right?
Yeah.
Through light therapy and through the meditation and the sound bites and the
Mm,
different like ways that it accesses this ear and that ear. And anyway,
beautiful.
again, I was like, this is a weird device. This is kind of crazy, but I was like, it works. And like it works on my children and I feel better. So like let's keep doing it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Finding those
Yeah.
moments. to do whatever works, taking deep breaths during dishes. I
Mhm.
hate dishes. Okay, I
Mhm.
hate most housework. You'll find that across these podcasts. I'm like, oh, I hate doing that. Oh, I hate doing that. Some fun breath work during it. It can calm, make you less angry about having to do dishes.
Having to do the dishes
And then
again.
calmly asking your children, to finish them, it's
Mhm.
also integrating that at work.
It's so
We'll
true.
wrap it up, but I want you to tell us a little bit how this journey of motherhood, you have a sweet, beautiful boy, how this journey of motherhood has reshaped this definition of success, right? Often we see this is what success looks like. I have to,
Mhm.
do these 5 million things to reach there. But what has that been like for you both, like personally and professionally? I know I've known you a long time. You've been through some health journeys,
Mhm.
career shifts, as most people have after living a certain amount of years.
Yeah,
But you share a little bit more on that so people can get to know you a little better.
I love it. Yeah, my ripe old age of 25 as well. And
I
I lived
know we're
right.
just babies. We've done so much in our life. Don't compare yourself to us, you guys.
Oh man, having a child radically changes so much about who you are as a human. And I think in the first few years, I was really focused on my whole identity being wrapped up in fitness, in or around fitness. That was what I was building my career for. That's what I was known for. If someone asked me what I did, I was I was in fitness. I did fitness. I was a fitness leader. And I realized in raising my son that the one of the reasons that I was so wrapped up into fitness was because of an obsession with vanity, and that I was building my career to be quite egotistical and quite centered around being in front of a mirror all day. It does nothing for your self-esteem. And
Right.
I didn't want to raise him and him to look back on our memories together and to point out that obsession with vanity or that obsession with ego as being foundational to me as a mother. And I started to get out of this idea of I was just sets and reps and get into the idea of looking at the whole functionality of wellness, that it's so much more than what you're doing with your body, that it's how you're speaking to yourself. It's how your internal gremlin is either, talking smack to you all the time or maybe just in quiet moments during the day, and what can you do in order to combat that. And I really wanted to expand on how do I create a life where we're more focused on moments of joy and happiness. In doing so, I also had a realization that I was the kind of person who liked to mask bad and uncomfortable feelings. So if my son came home and somebody had hurt his feelings, man, I was at the store so fast buying a Pokemon card deck, was like whiplash. Then I started to realize, oh, I don't want him to shy away from these feelings because that lessens the feelings of joy and happiness as
Mhm.
well. And that sometimes we need to sit in the discomfort in order to realize what real joy feels like, and
Yeah.
wanting to have the whole spectrum of emotions instead of just kind of staying safe in the middle. And
Yeah.
so I really started to look at my career. I started to look at my habits. I started to look at how I reacted in the moment and started to say, I want a bigger picture. I want a more well-rounded picture. And
Mhm.
so I started to change my habits. I started to change my career. I started to change how we talked about things. And I started to move away from this mentality of it is we mask what feels uncomfortable, and instead lean into the style of motherhood that says, let's talk about what makes us uncomfortable so that we know what really makes us joyful.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are human,
Hmm.
right? And we cry. That's another thing. We cry and experience things just like our children do, and maybe they're more, outward about it, but doesn't mean we can't be, right? I remember someone saying like, moms cry. Like, why are you crying, mom? Like, don't be sad. And it's like, oh, well, let's normalize
Yeah.
that we can all be sad and that there are
Mhm.
reasons behind the sadness. And again, like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's create an environment, I think both in our schools as well as our
Mhm.
homes, that talk about these things instead of,
Mhm.
shoving it under the rug. And that might be the generation that we come from, might be how our upbringing,
Mhm.
of how we've been
Mhm.
conditioned to deal with feelings, but doesn't mean that that can't shift and we can't be those shifters, right?
Mhm.
Because we are raising the next generation. Look at that.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
told that time and time
Mhm.
again, but you're like, it's hard to imagine like your teenager, your 5-year-old, like, running the
Mhm.
world, but
Mhm.
they will be the ones running this world. And so what better thing to teach them is communicate your feelings.
Communicate, yeah, and self-compassion, right? That
Yes.
ultimately, going back to where we started this conversation, when it comes to
Yeah.
mindset, it sets everything. And so coming back to terms with the fact that it's okay that things are not going to go the way you want. It's
Yeah.
okay that your life is going to ebb and flow like the ocean.
Yeah.
It's okay that
It's
you're not
not
going to
all
be
going
able
to be
to
phenomenal.
right?
It's
No,
also not all going to be bad. I think I'm going to tattoo
no.
the word like grace on my
Yeah,
just
you're
a
going to ebb
reminder.
and flow.
Mhm. I
Such
love
a
that.
great reminder.
It is such a great reminder. We're gonna take your ebb and flow analogy and we're gonna screenshot this shot right here of us doing this. And we'll post that on our social media so more people can latch onto that. Jess, I love you so much.
Thank you
Thanks
so much for having me, Carly. And thanks to everyone
thanks
out
for
there who's
coming on the We Got You Mama podcast. Jess has got you. You can learn more about all her things, read her phenomenal blog posts on she's one of our experts on our website, and also check out those show notes. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with anyone that you would think needs a little high five and a little boost, and we can take care of that boost for you. Listen to us, you'll get that serotonin boost. Look at that, we should start advertising that. All right, I love your face. We'll chat again soon.
Thank you
Bye
so
for
much. Bye,
now.
everybody. Thank you.